made it possible to make lifelong friendships, you know. And of course, if it wasn't for Facebook, it might not have happened either. But VGA was very instrumental in that, and people are the most important part. I can't emphasize that enough. So I hope that you enjoy the rest of the program. And again, thanks for coming, and we'll talk to you in a bit.
All right. Thank you, David. Thank you. I don't know what we have. There was actually a list in the pattern that we were supposed to go as far as today, but we're switching it up because I think y'all need to know what these things say up here on the pulpit here. It says you may have gone to VGA if you learned how to study in the dark after lights out. Yeah. You may have gone to VGA if your Friday night date was to Vespers. You may have gone to VGA if you ever rolled down your skirt all the way to the dean's or principal's office. That never happened with me. You may have gone to VGA if you knew who was engaged by asking the time. You may have gone to VGA if you were called out of class to clean your room. You may have gone to VGA if your old record album has approved stamped on it. You may have gone to VGA if the other side of campus was no man's land. You may have gone to VGA if you could only hold hands while roller skating in the gym or singing side by side. You may have gone to VGA if you can grill cheese sandwiches on the bottom of an iron. My sophomore year, I talked Cliff Simpson into taking me to a grocery store and told him to look the other way while I bought an 89-cent steak. I took the steak back, and you know those things that you make grilled cheese with, you know, when you push it together? I got it, borrowed an extension cord from the maintenance office, plugged it into our room, ran it out the window, went to the flagpole, took that sandwich maker out, put that steak on it, and cooked it. Well, amazingly enough, the smell went across the campus. And the dean started checking rooms. And he says, somebody's cooking. I need, is it y'all? And Ben's like, no, it's not us. And anyway, I finished cooking it and brought it back in and put it for sale. And I sold it for, was it $5? I think it was $5, and I got a bite of it. So I took that grilled cheese thing a little bit further than that. Babik Sadri was the one that bought that. I remember. Anyway, they gave me a thing about the history of VGA. And so I'm going to read it. I got several versions, and this is my understanding of the correct one. If anyone hears differently and you know something different, in correction, please just speak up. I'll stop and let you correct it. In the early years, as far back as 1911, there were Adventist leaders and families who were homeschooling and or classes being held in valley churches. In the 30s, a valley-wide meeting of Seventh-day Adventist churches in the region met together in a special meeting in Mercedes to discuss SDA education for children of the churches in the area. A 10-grade school began in Far Church with 2 teachers, one for grades 7 through 10 and one for 1 through 6. The school name was Valley Grove School. Students came from the Lower Valley, Harlingen, and Upper Valley, McAllen and Far. And in 1937, a man by the name of Mr. Cotton, a farmer and a member of the Weslaco Church, generously gave a plot of land which is part of the ground where the academy we all attend stands. And by the way, I just want y'all to know a really interesting thing happened. I was driving home as I left 35 and went to turn on 410. I noticed I was behind a big bus painted real pretty, and it was WISD, and when I pulled up beside it, it was Weslaco ISD, Friday afternoon. I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, other tracts of land were added by donation or purchase through those early years, and actual construction of the building began in the summer of 1936. The building was not completed when the school started in 36 and 37, so classes were held in the Weslaco Church. The opening of the school term, 1937 and 38 classes for high school level convened in the new building. Two new GM buses brought students from all over the valley. A contest was held in 1937 to name the school, and Stephen Youngberg admitted the name Valley Grande Academy. And it was selected as the best name, and that's how the school got its name. 38 additional property was purchased, and building was built for the elementary classes. The first graduating class was in the spring of 1940, a senior class of 4 boys. Edward Buster Simpson was in that class. Several of you know him. 1943, a cottage was purchased and moved for the principal to live on campus. 44 and 45, there were 100 students in elementary and 42 in the academy. A third room was added to the 2 existing classrooms. In 45, a vocational building and garage were constructed, and a room in that building became the science lab. 44 and 45, an old Army barrack was moved to the campus, and it became the school's auditorium and cafeteria. 65, plans were made to build a new gymnasium and 2 dormitories. Actual building started in 65 and 66 and was completed in January or February of 67. Sometimes in the mid-50s, a new elementary building was built, and it was completed in 58. In the late 60s, a new elementary school was built, and the old building became classrooms for the academy. Who wrote this? Sharon? Sharon actually attended all her elementary years in the building that became the academy classrooms, and attended all my academy classes in the same building. There's a record there. 1965, several families kept students in their homes so they could go to academy. In 66 and 67, students lived with families, the principal, other teachers, until the dorms were completed and they could move in. The girls moved into what was the boys' dorm first, and then when the boys' dorm was completed, girls moved to their dorm, and the boys got their dorm. And the school became an official boarding academy. That's 2 years before. Were you there in 67, or Mike?
Yes, I started,
Yeah. So you got there just as it opened. Ah, okay. Cafeteria was added to the gymnasium in the late 60s, a chapel to the girls' dorm, and in 68, the nursing home opened. And in 1969, the laundry came into existence. How many of y'all worked in the laundry? How did we get out of that without some disease of some kind? That's what I want to. I remember what I used to stick my hands in, to put that stuff in the washing machine. Sharky was the boss? Oh, Durchek wouldn't let you handle it. I don't know which Durchek, but I met him. I was supposed to go to work there, and I had to leave for a couple of weeks from school. And when I came back, he wasn't there. Someone else had taken his place. No, it was far worse than that. All right, so the swimming pool was built in 1971. I didn't know it was that recent. Sharon raised the most donations for the walkathon for the pool and got to be the first one to jump in. You didn't swim in it till 72. Wow. Oh. Wow. Yeah. Kathy was the second one.
When I was a junior, I was still around. Every other year we get into was a senior, so I stayed for the summer stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Summertime, I got to tell y'all, that was the fun time. If you were smart and you worked at the laundry and you got to stay over the summertime, those were good times. Well, you know. Yeah, but it was fun. End of 1972, the men's dorm addition, the worship room and extension to the east. 74, senior hall was built on the west end of the main administration building. And the add-on to the cafeteria in 75 enlarged the kitchen and the garden. Didn't know they had a garden. There you go. In addition to the other side of the gym, in 1976, they put the music building in. Or that's when it was open, I believe, or somewhere around there. Didn't realize that that building was that new. I got there in 77. And I knew they had the radio station there. That was up and going. I think you were running that when. Yeah, David, my brother, learned to be a DJ and actually worked as a DJ in radio stations where we lived a couple times. David built his own radio station when we lived on the farm in an RV kind of thing, and it broadcast all over the farm where we lived. Yes, up on the right side. I'm on the right side up there. Yep. I slept there once. No, I won't. And let's see. Sometime between 79 and 89, the long building on the west side of campus, 3 apartments and maintenance shop was built. I didn't know there were apartments there. Yeah. Huh. Air conditioning was added to the original classrooms between 82 and 86. The metal roof was added over the combined structure of the cafeteria and gym and music building with the tower in the mid-90s. 1991 to 96, the band room was built, and metal fence and circle drive added. 95, a glass shop was open to provide work for the students ran by the Conleys. Art classes were taught there. Summer of 2001, the south section of apartment and maintenance building was remodeled into a student center. Didn't know that. 2005, the conference no longer ran the school. Local constituency operated the school with consultation from the Conference Superintendent of Education and the Texas Conference Board of Education. 2005, the name changed to Valley Grande Adventist Academy. There's not much history written after 2005, except the school was closed by the conference, and they also closed the elementary school in 15 and 16. School's still there, and it's closed. But found out an interesting story today. Lily, my AV lady back there, went to the school across the street from the academy. And they told her, don't go on that campus. That's where crazy kids go to school. So she avoided that place like the plague. So, well, yes.
I was just there in January, there's not for sale.
There's a for sale sign up. Yeah, and I don't want us to get caught up in the story of, all the things that went wrong, because lots of things went wrong. And those people are no longer in power, probably no longer alive. And we can't change what happened. But we can look back at the years we were there and enjoy the memories that we had. Lots of good memories and lots of good times. What else am I doing up here? We can tell stories. Do what? A lot of people found Christ in that place. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of parents and teachers sacrificed for us to go there. I know we lived on a farm in East Texas, and my father sold portions of that farm off to send all his kids through school until it was all gone. Yes. We lived in close to Elkhart, Palestine area. And it was 200 and something acres that he sold off. But lots of sacrifice. Yes, ma'am.
We sent all 3 of our children there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Tim sold a Harley to send his kids to school there. That's a sacrifice. Yes, ma'am. Wow. 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 Yes, ma'am. Your twins went there the last year it was open? Yeah. Yeah. I've met a lot of people that were affected by it. We could, but then I'll be running all over the place and sweating again. Yeah, no. And anybody else? I remember one night we were playing basketball in the gym, and Miss Pearson walked in, Mr. and Mrs. Pearson. And they're like, "Hey, Sam, how are you doing?" Like, "I'm doing fine. Been playing basketball. Why? What's up?" "You didn't just get back from somewhere?" I'm like, "No." "Why?" She goes, "We just saw you down at Bud's." I'm like, "No, you didn't." And fortunately for me, Mr. Solomon had been there the whole time. I'm like, "No, Sam's been here the whole time. Otherwise, I'd have been going home again." But apparently I have a doppelganger, whatever they're called, that showed up at Bud's around the time they were there. But if Solomon hadn't been there, I'd have been in deep trouble. It was crazy. How many people, y'all know what I'm talking about when I say Bud's, right? It's a convenience store. It's just down the road from the school. Yes. If you wanted a Coke Icy, which was illegal on the campus of VGA, you'd ask for a VGA special, and they'd put about 1.5 inches of Sprite on top of your Coke Icy, and then we'd take it on campus. I remember eating a hamburger and somebody catching me and say, "Sam, throw it away." And so I put the paper around it and I opened the trash, and it was pretty full, so I set it on top and just kind of shook my head. He walked off, and when he went around the corner, I opened it back up, pulled it back out, and finished eating it. Like, there's no shame in that. It was covered. Yeah. Yes, I am a germaphobe, so that tells you how much I needed a hamburger. We've got lots of pictures. Lynette Priest was supposed to be here, but I believe her brother passed away, and so they couldn't be here. I talked to Carla Suter. A lot of you in the 79 era know who she is. She was supposed to come. She said she was coming. She didn't make it. But I can't thank you enough for that. What else are we supposed to be doing? I'm sorry, I'm at a loss here. Guys, we had a list of things to do, and I've forgotten the list. Do what? I got to tell you, and I'm not trying to put a downer on that because I love the school, but I think the days of boarding academies are failing. The one up in South Dakota, they're having a constituency meeting about it this month to close it because they just don't have as many people attending. Do what? Yes, yeah. Most parents don't send their kids away like our parents were willing to send us away. Yeah. I wanted to give you a list of the principals that were in the school. I saw this on this list. I don't know, until we get down to Kruger, I didn't know any of these. 37 to 40 was Clyde Bushnell. 40 to 41 was Westermeyer. 41 to 43 was Carl Franz. 43 to 45 was Eugene Sample. Looks like they only lasted a year or two. 45, 46, A.D. Kalin. 46 to 48, Ross Rice. 48 to 51, Cecil Garrett. 51 to 52, John Jensma. 52 to 57, I lost it there, A.R. Tucker. No relation. 57 to 60, Clifford Ortner. 60 to 64, Floyd Eccles. And 64, 65, Clarence Newton. I knew a Clarence Newton, but I don't think it was him. That was his son I went to school with. Okay. 65 to 66, McGee. And then 66 to 67, Wayne Thurber. Wow. Yeah, I knew his sons. Yeah, worked with both of them. 67, 69, Gordon Leon. De Leon. Yeah, Gordon De Leon. 69 to 72, Robert Lee Bard. Labard. My apologies. 72 to 77, Arlo Kruger. And Arlo was a good man. He was a good principal. 77 to 79, Leroy Steck. I had a story, but we better leave that one alone. 79. You know, I don't want everybody, I want you to understand a lot of things contributed to the failure of our school and its closing. But I have to take responsibility too. I broke into the administration building a few times and found things there that they had left behind and relieved them of it. And one time, and I'm telling you this story for a reason, one time I went up and something just told me, not a good time. And so I looked over and I saw the principal's office was open. So I walked around the corner and Mr. Steck was in there. I'm like, I'm glad I didn't do that. And I'm like, hey, Mr. Steck. He says, what's going on, Sam? I said, well, I came up here. I just wanted to talk to you. And I sat down and just started talking with him. All of a sudden, the treasurer runs into the office and says, oh, the treasurer had been waiting inside the administration building because someone kept breaking in and he was waiting, setting a trap to catch them. And I went and talked to Mr. Steck instead. And so I think he knew that, but that's when I stopped. So, sorry. Paul Rouse, he was there from 79 to 82. And then Royce Spalding, I didn't know him, but he came afterwards, 82 to 86. 86 to 87 was Brewer. 87 to 89 was John Ward. 89 to 91, John Reed. I didn't know John Reed went down there. Yes, is that me? Sorry. Andrew Leone, 91 to 96. Estacio Pennycook, 96 to 97. Rod Curbs, 97 to 99. And 99 to 2005 was Arsenio Hernandez. I loved Mr. Hernandez. He was a good guy. We were taking driving education class from him. And people were asking him questions, and there were kind of rapid fire questions happening. I raised my hand. He goes, yes, Sam. I said, is it legal to make a U-turn on a one-way street? And he turns around and starts to explain it, and then he stopped and turned around and goes, no, it's not. It's a one-way street. Oh, okay. I loved Mr. Hernandez. He was a great guy. In 2005, to the end, was Pam Bickle, I believe is the name. So those were the principals. Anybody have anything you want to share about the principals? Yes.
So, I'm Tree Johnson, 74. I dated a girl, Susie Stewart, many who were there, and we broke up. And I got called to the principal's office. And I sat down in front of Mr. Kruger and I said, so what's going on? He goes, how are you doing? I go, I'm doing okay. He says, no, I don't think you are. You just had a major breakup, didn't you? I said, well, we're not together. He goes, well, hold on a minute. He opens his desk drawers and pulls out a list of all the girls in the school. And he says, maybe I can help you out.
Yes. What a great principle. No one ever offered me that help. Just didn't go to the right time of year.
Can't overlook Pie Night at the Labards. Pie Night. When Labard was principal, Mrs. Labard would make pies, and all of us would be invited to her house for pie after Vespers on Friday night.
Pie night. Oh, they didn't have that either. Well, I missed that.
You know, the academy had a history of a lot of kids going to Mexico after graduation and partying. And so the class of 72 that year, they said, well, you have to graduate on Sunday morning. Well, we had already had plans in our mind of decorating the gym. You know, that gym looked pretty drab in the daytime. And so we said, well, we're going to write a letter to the board. We're going to get it changed. There was only 20 in our class. And Mr. Clark was one of our sponsors, plus our Cobos, Jacinto. And so we wrote the letter. The board actually changed it. Wow. And from then on, it remains Saturday night.
Saturday night. So it almost got changed to Sunday morning. Trying to remember Pie Night. Oh, I was going to say, I tried to find somebody that had made cinnamon rolls and get the recipe and get that made for y'all while you were here, but I was unable to get it done. I tell you what, and I don't know how many times we broke into the cafeteria and tried to find those cinnamon rolls and steal them on Friday night. And we never could find them. They locked them up. I don't know what they did. Did you?
There it is.
Huh?
I'll tell you what it is.
Okay.
Go on VGA updates, the website, the Facebook page. Where it says search, type in cinnamon rolls, and it will pop up.
We used to get up on Sabbath morning, and we dress up, to just get dressed and go get our cinnamon rolls and come back to the dorm. We'd change clothes, put on a hat or something, and go back and get some more cinnamon rolls, try to look different and hope they didn't remember we were just in there. And anything to get more of those cinnamon rolls. I love those cinnamon rolls. I miss that. And Mama Overton could really make good ones.
Keith and I and David, on one occasion, we cut out Friday night, got into the cafeteria. This was a normal thing, and we would bring a tray of cinnamon rolls back to our room. David thought he would bring a number 10 can of fruit cocktail. He opens the can, and David, he's running and laughing and joshing, and there's cocktail all the way up to the door. How no one found out, we will never know. But Nettie told me later that Miss Overton knew we were coming, and she'd make an extra pan.
One of the students, not one of these students, come fast. That's all. I see y'all are doing it all the time.
We always made extra. Mom Overton always made. We broke into the cafeteria. I was working for the gym, for Mr. Solomon in the gym. And I found out my keys opened the door between the gymnasium and the cafeteria. I didn't make it well known, but I'm like, hey guys, we're going to score this time. So we break in the cafeteria, and we get so much. We got stuff we shouldn't even got, but there's like 5 or 6 of us. We get the food, we go through the gymnasium, we get into my office, or to the gym office, and as we got into, this was our thought, if we go out the music building, no one's going to suspect that we just broke into the cafeteria. Yeah, because, there's no connection there. And so as we're going out getting into the hallway of the music hall. I'm like, don't shut the gym door because then we're stuck in this hall. As it shut and clicked. So we're in the hallway and we got all this food in our hands. We're walking out to the door and I push the bar and open the door and there's Mr. Pearson. And I'm like, stop, Mr. Pearson. I had to push back because I had 4 people behind me pushing me out. I shut the door. Of course, it slammed shut. I said, Mr. Pearson, and everybody takes off running. There's nowhere to go. There's practice rooms, there's bathrooms, but there's nowhere else to go. And so I get down the end of the hall and I'm thinking, what am I just need to act normal. I turn back around. There's food all over the floor. Everybody just threw the food and ran. So I'm running down the hall, sliding the stuff in the practice rooms, sliding it in, and I get to the door and push it just as Pearson gets the right key and opens the door. I'm like, hey, Mr. Pearson, what's going on? He goes, what are you doing? So we just got done at the pool. We were just putting some stuff up. We were just going, back to the dorm. He goes, who's we? I turn back, there's nobody there. I'm like, well, there was somebody there. I missed a box of Fruit Loops and root beer. It's in the hallway. He says, who's that? I don't know, Mr. Pearson. I don't know where that came from. And he goes, well, where's everybody else? And so he goes into the bathrooms, and they're hiding in the stall, standing on the toilet. And he's like, all right, guys, come out. And so we all got in trouble. We got fined for Fruit Loops and root beer. I had to go back and break back into that hallway again and get the rest of the food and throw it away so they wouldn't catch us and get us with all the other evidence. So, yeah, that was my experience with breaking it. But we got busted for Fruit Loops and root beer.
You were a rascal.
So I was.
About the death story.
Every year people did pranks. Everybody, there were some good ones. One year they took off the doors off the boys' dorm and they hid them. And they couldn't find them. They finally said, tell us and nobody get in trouble. I didn't do this, somebody else did. And they gave them a map to where the doors were hidden. We always wanted to one-up everybody. So one night, me and Vince and David McCormick and Philip Bailly, 4 guys, we went to the classrooms, and one of us picked the locks, and we opened all the classroom doors except the typing room. We left the typing room alone. We took a classroom and we put it on the flat roofs up on top, including the teacher's desk. We put them in rows, just like a classroom, but on the roof. Then we took the rest of the other 2 or 3 classrooms and we carried all those to the cafeteria. We put a classroom in there with the teacher's desk up front, everything that was on the teacher's desk. Took all the cafeteria tables and the chairs and put them in the classroom, set them up, put the flour in the middle of the salt shakers, set it up just like the cafeteria. We did that in like 3 hours, 4 people. And our final decision, which was our mistake, was turning off the electricity for the campus. Because we worked at the laundry. It started sprinkling, our clothes were wet. So we get back to the dorm and we're changing and trying to get everything and get to the laundry where we can wash and dry them so there's no evidence. But it's dark, and so we can't find everything that we took off, and that was our downfall. One of us left some stuff in the room, and they found it there, and we were busted. But we got fined for that, too. We didn't get kicked out for that one. $110 a piece. And that paid the senior class to get everything and put it back the way it was supposed to for their senior trip. So it was a good prank. I think David McCormick was telling me years later in Keene, his daughter brought some people home, and they had been from VGA, I don't know what year. 2010. And they're like, oh, it was you guys. You are legends. In our own mind anyway. But that's when you started telling me, we're going to tell stories, these are all the stories I remember, and they're terrible stories. But anyway, we had a lot of fun and enjoyed every bit of our time down there. So, anybody else? Yeah, you're smart not to confess. Yes, sir.
Todd Price, is he still here? He's right there. There he is. Gail and I have been doing something someplace in the valley, and we got back late, and we'd not eaten, and so we went to Keno Cafe. It was too late to eat, but we were young, so we did it. But when we walked in there, Todd and Kelly and one other, Trent Blake, were seated at a table in Keno Cafe. And I walked up to him and said, so did the dean know you're here? Oh, yeah, he brought us here. He's going to come pick us up. I said, oh, okay. I sat down with Gail. I said, they're lying through their teeth. So we had our meal. They finished theirs, and they came over to say goodbye. I said, we're going to stand outside. He'll be here. He's late, but he'll be here to pick us up. I said, great. So they go outside, and there was a little pickup window in the Keno Cafe where you could do drive-through orders. And I watched that window, and I saw 3 flashes just run by, They were streaking back to the dorm. So I was laughing. And we paid and got in the car, and I guessed which road they took to get home. I knew they wouldn't take the main one because they knew I was coming. And I just happened to find them. Hey, guys, did the dean forget you? Yeah, he did. I said, well, hop in. He said, oh, we don't mind walking. I said, no, it's too late for you to be out like this. It's not safe. I'll drive you back. They were not happy. So they got in the car, and I drove them up. I said, they said, we think the dean must have left a door open for us. We checked all the doors. They were locked. I knew that there was a window someplace that they'd gotten out of. I said, well, what are we going to do, guys? I guess we have to tell the dean that he forgot you. I said, come on, let's go see him. Oh, that's not necessary. Oh, yeah, it is. Come on. So we knocked on the door. I think it was Redenbaugh, right? Was the dean? And I said, Mr. Redenbaugh, you forgot these young men at Keno Cafe. I did. So anyway, he took them in. I don't know what he did with them, but I went back later to speak at their graduation and was so pleased to be able to tell that story. Remember? What's that? Yeah, it was a very special moment for you, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, your parents really enjoyed that, no doubt. Anyway, the truth is that I realized that most of the things kids were doing, most of them were just silliness of kids doing things because they're kids. And I remember being a student at the Valley and getting away with a lot of stuff myself. And so as often as possible, I tried not to get anybody in trouble. Arlo Kruger sent me out to a bus during a banquet. He said, I want you to go watch because there's some kids off campus. They're going to come back and you need to catch them. I said, it's raining. It's cold. He said, I don't care. Go watch. I said, man. So I went out, and I was supposed to watch the parking lot, and the bus was sitting there. I got on it, and I sat in the back kind of mad and grumbled and just watched. And the Pagani kid got on the bus. Yeah, Pagani. Steven? Yeah, with a girl. David Pagani, that's right. He got on the bus with a girl. I can't remember who the girl was. And and I was sitting in the back, and I said, this is stupid. What am I doing here? Oh, no. And his arm goes around her. I thought, oh, dear. And he starts to make the move, and he jumped like crazy. What are you doing here? I said, if you go back in, I never saw you. They say, what were you doing on that bus? Mr. Kruger made me be there. So anyway, a lot of stories like that from my perspective was kids were kids. And I had done some of the same stuff myself. We went to a Bible camp at Yorktown Bay, and it was seniors mainly, if I remember right. And one meeting, they were all gone. And the other sponsor said, what are we going to do? I said, I think I know where they are, because it's the same place I'd gone. And I went there, and I found them. I said, come on, guys. They said, how did you know where to find us? I said, God told me. I didn't tell them it's the same place I went.
God told them that they were where you were at. That's right. At this time, I think it's a good time for us to remember those who aren't with us anymore. And we've got I think a slideshow that kind of talks about the different, or shows the names of the people that have passed on that were in our classes. And we can stop it, and if someone has anything they want to share about a particular person, just let me know. Somebody's communicating with me. No, they're not. Okay. All right. See, that's what we're supposed to do. Yeah. Sorry. Now we know. '54. That was our oldest guy. He was here today. Yep. Noah Guerrero. He's still with us. Oh, by the way, yes, we wanted to share this. Arlo Kruger, and I think they had the thoughts or something he shared in the annual, and they wanted to play that. I think it's the next slide. That. Can anybody read that? I can. Let me read it. By the time you receive this annual, the school year will be just about finished. I've personally enjoyed being in the beautiful valley at Valley Grande Academy. Many memories each one of us will have as we look back in this annual. Memories seem to make life interesting. Sometimes they are discouraging, encouraging, amusing, inspirational, or whatever the case. They should be memories that have helped build us into better individuals. I hope your memories will be encouraging to each of you. May God richly bless you. Bless all our efforts as you continue in your efforts of obtaining the best Christian education you can. All right. Yes, I remember. He married you on the farm. Dad did everything all the way up to, and he did the I do's because he was ordained.
The gymnastics team.
And the gymnastics team was there. Yeah.
Like he was there.
Yeah. I remember that. Elkhart, Texas. Catherine Bentley, Ralph Chinchoretta, Ernest Hartzell, Tommy Kyle, Teresa Martin, Howard Ulrich, and Roy Robinson, class of 70. 71, we have Elizabeth Banta, Ed Cross, Beverly Savage, Gary Searley, Janet Jensen, Chip Scarborough. 72, we have David Dameron, and Violet Hartzell, Steve Urick, Carlos Garza, Dottie Taylor, and Ken Wells. 73, Dwayne Hempel, Frank Moore, and by the way, if we missed some, if you know. Oh, I'm sorry. Debbie Windover. Debbie Windover was another one of this year.
And she didn't graduate from our class.
She was there.
No, I'm talking about somebody else.
Oh.
Denise Wisdom.
Denise Wisdom, and she was there.
She went to school there for 1 year. She was my best friend.
Okay.
And she died in
Anyone else? Okay. 74, David Beasley, Steph Criswell, Weatherall Borden. I know him. Noreen Martin. Wed was his nickname. And Janet Miller Allen. Noreen Martin, I remember that. Dwayne Hempel, class of 73. Frank Moore, class of 73. David Beasley, 74. Weatherall Borden, Wed.
Yes.
Class of 74. Steve Criswell, 74. Noreen Martin, I remember the name and her back then. Just knew him through Nettie and them. Janet Miller. Harold Collum, class of 75. Della Mae Howlett, 75. Ginger Burl Robles, class of 76. Linda Wallace Green, class of 76, yeah. And Butler, class of 76. Juanita Lynn Holder, 77. And Jerry, my brother, passed away in 70, he was there in 78, passed away, what year was that? I think it was 2019, before COVID. Yeah. And Stewart, I didn't know this. The first year I was here, a family came in, was sitting on the row, and I asked where they were from, and they said Del Rio. I said, I only know one person, or a couple people from Del Rio, but they're both Stewarts. He goes, oh, I'm their brother. I didn't say it out loud, but I thought, oh, I didn't even know they had a brother. But I started asking questions, and he told me Ann had passed away. Don't know any details. Renee Zambrano, we just lost him just recently. Tim Wood, I went to school with his brother Mark. I went to school with him too, but Mark was in my class. Tim was in Vince's class.
Saw Tim a lot.
Yeah. And Belinda Holly, she passed away shortly after school, didn't she? Wasn't it just like within 10 years?
It was a few years. She got hit by a car in there, Arkansas.
Yeah. She was, well, yes, ma'am.
From the class of 78, also Rania Tuesta.
Rania Tuesta. I didn't know she had passed away. Rania Tuesta from 78. Yep. Yes, sir.
Wes Stoops from 79.
Wes Stoops from 79. I didn't know he passed away. Wow. Who? Corbeck? No. Didn't know that. Yes, ma'am. Edward Owsley. Yeah, Edward Owsley. I didn't know he had passed away. Okay. Rick Doss, class of 82. That was just a year or two back.
Yeah, last year.
Had cancer. If I'm not wrong. Yeah. Greg English. Nathan was telling me that Greg, he saw Greg crying because he had a B in his class, a B. He got a B and it made him cry. And Greg was a fierce competitor in any sports. He was a good guy. He became a doctor and was at a conference in Hawaii, and they found him dead in his hotel room. So Greg was a good guy. Tom Schoonover, we didn't lose him very long ago, but Robert Schoonover was class of 78, went to school with Jerry. Tom was in my class, and he just passed away recently, too. But spiritual things, I talked about that last night, so we don't have to go over that again. If you weren't here last night, it's too bad. There's Ronnie. Yeah, watch it on YouTube. It's on there. But the best times for me were the fountain. The memories were there at the fountain. You know, I remember cleaning that fountain, working on it to get it to work. But Friday nights were special. And
And Sam Sanchez got thrown in the fountain.
yeah, Sam got thrown in the fountain. And if I recall, April and a couple of others did because they were bad-mouthing the Cowboys.
Yes.
And Boo, yes, Boo and Mary Jane threw her in the fountain. So.
And we would do it again.
Yes. But you know, it was a neat place, and you know.
Anybody remember the fountain song that you used to sing before you go to the fountain?
No.
Go with me to the fountain, where we will meet God in prayer,
Wow.
praising our heavenly Father. Come, let us meet today.
Wow. No, I'd never heard that song
Wayne
before.
Berger wrote that song, and we sang it for years.
Wow.
It fell into someone forgot.
When we were in school, we left from the church, and we all walked straight back to the fountain and did our songs. And I know we sang a lot more than we sang last night. I don't remember any of them except Side by Side. That was the only important one.
You were just waiting to hold the girl.
That's it. That's it. You made sure that you were standing by a pretty girl, you know, when you were getting ready to sing the Side by Side song. Hey, it's the only time you could have any contact. How many people got put on social? I lived on social. Crazy.
Hey, Sam.
Yes.
Also, I want to give a shout out to Mike. Thank you for your sermon today.
Yes, Mike, thank you for your sermon today.
Everybody, most everybody, very touching sermon. Thanks for what you did for us. Probably affected our lives more than you think.
Yep.
And thanks for what you're doing now.
Yeah. Amen. 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 You know, there was some faculty members that, to me, were very consistent and
He doesn't
good.
grade my papers anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't. But Mr. Hernandez was one of them that I always felt like was consistent, fair, and kind. You know, he wasn't trying to bully you around. Solomon, I tried to get him to come, but he was a good dean. He was a good teacher. I was a horrible person. I remember playing. I'm sorry. We were playing hockey, and we were playing the faculty. And yeah, that was the only time you got to, take out your, and I did on Mr. Solomon. He didn't deserve it. And I mean, I chopped him, I tripped him, and unfortunately his wife was reffing. But I was watching, so when she wasn't looking, that's when I did it. And boy, he was losing his cool. I pushed him beyond his limits. And I heard him and his wife getting into it afterwards. And the next day I got called into his office. And I started out kind of smart aleck, but realized I was fixing to go home. And so I apologized. And later, when I grew up, I went specifically to him and apologized to both of them for what I did. And I hope I didn't, strain their marriage any more than VGA strained all those marriages. And, but he was consistent. He was kind. He didn't deserve what I did, but he was a good man. He was a good man. Anybody else have faculty members that were meaningful to them? Gary Alfalter? Who? Connell? Connells, I've always heard good things about Connells.
Anybody remember Miss Parsons? Yeah.
Miss Parsons?
A lot of people didn't like her, didn't like her. But my roommate, Norma, and I had a little thing going. And we would go to her house and clean her house and make her supper Friday night. And she would let us hang out at her house afterwards and play records on her record player.
Nice. Todd?
I saw on Facebook that she did something.
I have the floor again. So, earlier Mike shares a story about Keno's. So, on that story, I was the youngest of the group. Trent was the senior class president. So when we're running, we're zigging and we're zagging, trying to take the most obscure path back. And we just eaten the schoolboy quickie, which was 2 chicken fried steak patties and potatoes and all that, and we just couldn't run any longer. And we stop, and we're just trying to catch our breath and keep our food down because, we didn't have much money. And I turn around and look, and about 3 blocks back, a car comes around with headlights, right? Because this is 11:30 at night or so. And I said, man, that's Tucker. And my brother goes, Todd, if you're going to be worrying every time somebody comes, you're not going to be able to come out with us anymore. Like, it was Tucker. We're in the back of the car, and I'm just looking at Kelly. I'm like, uh-huh. But Mike was so special. In 79, one of the, maybe 78, just before Academy Days, me and Kelly, and that's as far as I'm going to go, some cohorts, went out and we got into the storage room.
180 rolls.
Yes. 180 rolls of toilet paper. And we made it snow in the Grove. And we did the ad building back and forth and all the trees. And yeah, our arms were kind of hanging when we were done with that. Well, my brother took the heat for it, as he often did. And he had to...
He was suspended until he cleaned it all up.
Until he cleaned it all up. Mike and Gail took him into their house and fed him and everything, taking care of him. We went out one night also and lit it off as best we could up into the trees. That was fun.
Yeah.
But Mike always had your back.
Grace.
I love the grace. Yes, thank you for that word. And so the story about David Pagani doesn't surprise me. Mike knows how special he is to me. Cliff Simpson. Man, that guy spent more money on me just by taking me golfing. We used to go out onto the football field, and we had a picnic table set up down by the row of fir trees there by the art building, and we stand on the other end of the football field, and we'd hit wedges at that picnic table. And as he taught us to get better and better, we ended up having to put things on the table to try and hit them. But he took me into Harlingen and Mercedes more times than I can count just to play golf. My senior year, he was a Sunday church choir leader. And he would pick me up on Sunday morning, and I'd go and I'd sing with that choir, and then we'd go to Whataburger, and he'd buy me lunch, and we'd watch a Cowboy game. And I think he knew just how troubled I was at the time. And I will never, ever forget him for that. And he oftentimes had my back when other people maybe wanted me to take a little vacation. And yeah, he's tight. He's a good guy.
Simpson, another. They brought drinks. The Dr. Pepper truck brought drinks to the dean. They sold Sprites and candy and stuff, and so he came to deliver the Sprites and 7-Up and root beer that was only allowed on campus. It was a Dr. Pepper truck, and it's parked right outside my window. And so when he went around the corner with the Sprites and the 7-Ups, I went out my window and got several cases of Dr. Pepper and brought it into my room, which I sold for $1 a piece, made a little profit, but Simpson saw me do it. And he could have busted me. I could have gotten into a lot of trouble, but he just told me, don't do that anymore. And I didn't, but he was a good man.
You guys always, I mean, you guys are going through windows and everything. I just stole the RA's keys and made a copy of the master.
See, and who was telling me? But Ray, my brother Jerry, you're thinking I'm bad. Jerry always had keys to everything on campus.
Because people trusted him.
No, he stole them just like Tree did. He just didn't get caught.
That's why they trusted him.
We go out through the chapel door and go down to that chicken place right at closing time and buy all the chicken, and we'd have a big party in our room.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm
Fried
talking about.
chicken.
Yep. Yeah, it was good times. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And working at the laundry, it was a neat place to be. I'm sorry, we started talking. Did we stop in the middle of? Please keep going. My apologies. Oh, that was the continuation of that. And there is the sign. You know, we never did anything to the sign, except hide behind it, coming back from Buzz. All right. Well, okay, please.
So, I will try not to get emotional. Too late, right? I just wanted to comment on the fact that, in my opinion, regardless of when we attended VGA, we are family. The 3 years as I arrived 69, so 70, 71, 72, we're family. And I graduated in 73, so 72, 71, you know. You have a 6-year span, if you were there all 4 years, that were family then, and in my mind, are family now. You ate together, you slept in the same dorms, you cried together, you prayed together, you grew up together. It was a second family, and nothing. I grew up there, most of us grew up there, and we were part of each other's growing up. And I think God put me there. I became the person I am from VGA. So I think when I was American Legion Auxiliary State President, which was a great privilege, my theme was serving with a song in our hearts. And music was a great part of my life at VGA and continues to be so. So I think, and I know it's inappropriate to play this song here, and I don't have it set up to play, but next time you hear the song by Sister Sledge, We Are Family, I think we all need to think about VGA and the fact that I believe I could reach out to anyone that I went to VGA with and say, I need help, and they would be there for me anytime. So.
I remember when y'all, I don't know if we went to Houston and choir came, but y'all sang Morning is Broken by Cat Stevens. And it was so beautiful. And now it's in our hymnals, I know. And so every time I sing it, though, I think about y'all's choir group singing at that time. So, Morning is Broken. Yep. Anyone else? We don't have anything left. The only thing I would recommend us do, we can either sing some songs, but this one song I really want to sing, and that's Side by Side. Do what? Yes, I need my wife up here so I can hold her hand when I sing it. So, is everybody yes? Anybody else? I'm going, if your classes may schedule some sort of either event tonight or a meal tomorrow, and y'all are welcome to do that. And you're welcome to stay here and visit for as long as you want. But if y'all don't mind, we close. I don't suppose if you happen to have your guitar in here, do you, Tim? You mind getting it? We'll sing side by side. And who's a song person who sings besides Todd? Todd, you want to lead us? Sure. Sing? You love singing. It was the fountain song of the 77 through 81 that I was there. You all want to sing that as well?